Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I am Dr. Asad Abbas. This lecture comprises of three parts. In part 1, we will see what are quality requirements, whereas in part 2, we will discuss requirements quality assurance, its basic concepts, and in part 3, we will discuss requirements engineering verification and validation techniques. What is a requirement? A requirement is a set of measurable user needs and wants negotiated for incorporation into a project or application. It is in fact an essential condition, that is, it is something that is needed or necessary. In other words, a requirement describes a condition or capability to which a system must conform to. So as a system is being developed, it is evaluated according to how well it meets its requirements. And according to some definitions of software quality, the quality of a software is directly related to the fulfillment of its requirements. Now, the question is that how important requirements are for the success of a software project. So according to a study, 7 out of 10 projects fail. And of those that fail, 70% failures are due to the problems in the early stages of deciding on the business requirements, project scope, and planning. So this signifies that performing quality assurance activities during the requirement engineering is highly important because the cost of project failures due to improper requirements is very high. This also shows that quality assurance in requirements engineering has a great impact on the product quality. According to the chaos report issued by the Standish Group, out of the top 5 factors that contributed in the success of the projects, 3 factors were in fact those that were related to the early stage of system development. For example, uh, these factors included clear statement of requirements. That is, the requirements were very clear, there were no ambiguities and there were no particular issues. Similarly, realistic expectations and user involvement. Similarly, the top 5 factors found in challenged projects include incomplete requirements and specifications. So first of all, what are challenge projects? That these are the projects that may have been able to complete their like functional specifications or like whatever was to be delivered, but like they may have faced certain issues in completion. For example, those might be related to schedules, might be related to budget. So for these types of projects, like incomplete requirements and specification, that is an issue. And similarly, requirements volatility or change in requirements and specification, that was one of the issues that resulted in problems in fulfilling the schedule requirements or budgetary requirements in these types of projects. Similarly, according to this report, the top 5 factors that were found in failed projects, out of those top 5 factors, then 4 were again related to requirements and other issues. For example, changing requirements, unrealistic expectations of the customers, or lack of user involvement. So here we see that a majority of the factors that contribute either in the success or failure of the software projects are related to some issues in performing the requirements engineering activities, or some other decisions that are related to planning. Therefore, it is important to follow quality guidelines for requirements. This not only ensures the development of a quality product, but also makes the development of the project successful. So here we see what are quality requirements. A requirement is a quality requirement if it is correct, complete, feasible, traceable, unambiguous, verifiable, and prioritized. So what is requirement correctness? Correctness means that accurate representation of users' needs, whereas completeness, that is if the requirement covers all the possible situations in the scenario under question. Then feasible means like it is possible to implement each requirement within the known capabilities, available resources, and under the prevailing constraints. Then requirement is traceable. It means that like a traceable requirement can be linked both backward to its origin and forward to the derived requirements or other design elements. Then unambiguous, that is a requirement is unambiguous if it has one and only one interpretation for all the stakeholders. Then verifiable, like it means that like does a process exist through which it can be verified whether the software product meets the requirements or not. Then prioritized, like prioritization with respect to importance of like associated risks so that such requirements could be implemented first or dealt on immediate basis. So here we will see the writing style of quality requirements. So for writing a requirement, we need to put the statement of need or the desired functionality first, and then followed by the supporting details. For example, as we can see here, like rationale, the origin, the priority, and like other attributes. For example, as we can see in this table, that identifier is the attribute that in fact signifies the ID of the requirement. Similarly, title is the title of the requirement. A requirement field contains in fact the description of the requirement, like the details of the requirements. Similarly, source field represents like where did this requirement come from. For example, its origin. Then rationale states the motivation behind the requirement. Similarly, restrictions and risks related to this requirement, it means that any restrictions and risks pertinent to the requirement, they have to be specified while we are writing the requirements. Similarly, dependencies like the requirement IDs that are dependent on this requirement. So the numbers are identities of those requirements. They have to be listed here. Then the last field is that a priority of the requirement, that is like it is high priority, medium priority, or low priority. So usually these priority numbers are used in order to signify that like is this requirement related to our some urgent business need, or does it entail any like high risk. So accordingly they are assigned the priority numbers. So in the next video of this lecture, I will discuss the requirement quality assurance. Please watch that video. The materials in this video are based on these two sources. The first one is the book titled Software Requirements by Carl E. Weigers, whereas the second is about the Standish Group's report that we discussed in this video. Thank you.